The anime started with a girl, when she continuously stabbing a guy who is already dead. Still she is stabbing him like lunatic and having solace by eliminating this jerk from the world. His blood is shedding like stream, but she is not stopping even for a second. It's clear that this girl hate the main character Kanata Tomoki. Also the guy has no concern with his name. The thing that is popping around his mind by taking his last breath that he is going to die. By thinking about this he closes his eyes. When again his eyes open then, he looked at the old green man whom he thinks disgusting. Before closing his eyes, this old man gives him the Gobru name accidentally. Also he can't object because he is unable to speak or move properly. Still, this old man provides him with worms to eat, which this young green child consumes. Second time, when he awakes up, he realizes he is turned into a green child. Instead, he is surrounded by the kids. It means that in his previous life he was dead, and he was granted a second life as an abominable creature. Just then he tries to lift up, but how can a recently born baby walk? By watching himself, he has started weeping because the only thing he can do is cry, and he is doing this job amazingly. On the third day, he has grown up enough to walk on. He must praise goblins who can grow up fast. Also his heart is jumping with happiness when he hears his voice. After that, he moves his body to show off his fighting skills. At the same time, he has decided to live this life to the fullest. He is the lucky one who's bestowed with a second life and he doesn't want to waste it. On his fourth day, old man again arrives with their meal, but also he has brought bad news in which they have to hunt their own. This is going to be their last meal that he has brought for them. As they need to catch their prey, they have started eating the worms as if they haven't eaten since they were born. To take the bird's eye off the outside, Gobru comes out of the cave. Here he looks at the sun, which is the same as in his previous life, but the plants and animals around this place are totally opposite. To chase him, Gobkichi arrives. He is a Gobru fellow like others, as he seems stronger than all of the others. He has made it his mind to make him his partner. For preying, they are roaming around the forests. At the same time they observe the rabbit who has a horn. Gobkichi has started chasing the rabbit who is running away to save his life. Gobru, who is on the tree waiting for his turn, jumps on the earth and crams the head of the rabbit with a stick. Now it's their first hunt and Gobkichi wants to consume it as soon as possible, but Gobru doesn't permit him to smash the wooden stick many times on his face. How can he forget to share the food? Actually, Gobru taught him his first lesson to live a life. Also, he has torn apart the horn of the rabbit. In reality, he is going to use this horn as a weapon. Besides, Gobkichi's mouth is watering from watching the meat of a rabbit. Now he can't ignore him and he has allowed him to enjoy the meal. While taking a merciless bite, he is thankful to Gobru. Because of him, he is eligible to have this mouth-watering rabbit. On the fifth day, they are using the same strategy to hunt. This time Gobru has killed the rabbit by penetrating the horn. Within a few seconds, he sensed that he had obtained the most legendary horn, because it can be used as a weapon. Now he has two horns that he can use as weapons. By ignoring them, Gobkichi is satisfying his stomach by eating the lavish rabbit meat. When Gobru tastes the rabbit, he can sense that he has obtained the ability to escape. But how can it happen? It only happens because he still has the ability of his previous life, which is absorption. By availing of it, he can absorb the animal's powers. In this world, all his abilities are going to reset. Now he has to wait for his prey to jump on him. Rather, he chases the rabbit and penetrates the horn in his body to eliminate it. Observing this, Gobkichi is stunned at how amazing his personality is. Ignoring him, he offers him a horn to use as a weapon, and he is surprised to think that there are many unexplored animals with abilities. Thinking about this, a smile appears on his face. On his sixth day, he is with his friends. Here Gobmi is shouting after hearing they have already haunted the horned rabbit. She has been inspired by Gobru praises him. While praising, her cheeks have become red, but she has become obsessed with him. She can imagine the mouth-watering taste of a horned rabbit. Also, Gobkichi wants to listen to his praise and flattery, but she ignores him. Her center of attention is Gobru. By seeing her excitement, he has given her an offer to join them next morning. Unfortunately, it is raining on the seventh day. He is unable to fulfill his promise. It has to be extended, but he can't waste this day, so he moves to explore the material. By finding them, he can create a deadly weapon. Examining the cave, he has found the material. Not only this, he has found the naked woman. He has no idea what these women are doing, but he has no time to think about them. so he turns his attention to making a lethal weapon. Before he thinks further, an old man joins him who is inspired by his powers. He knows he can level up quickly and also evolve, but this conversation is beyond his imagination until he knocks on his head. Just then he has realized his level is 86. To evolve he needs to raise 100. When he reaches 100 he can evolve into a hobgoblin, but only one can turn into hobgoblin and he can go to Gobru. Also this old man reveals that Hobgoblin, who has already evolved, is going to come here, and he is shocked at the prey he will bring for them. On the next day, Gobmi also joined them by hitting the creature with her weapon, and Gobru chases the other crawling creature. And last Gobkichi is on the front smashing the creature with his wooden weapon. Together they create an unbeatable team. Just then they started eating their food. Gobmi is thankful to Gobru because of him she is eligible to have tri-meat. On the other hand, Gobru can also absorb its many abilities. He now has the venom and evil eye to knock his enemy. He is pleased because this snake has increased his ability. Gobkichi distracts his attention by inquiring about the head of the snake. He desires to have the head of steam, but Gobru doesn't permit him because he can be deadly by swallowing it. Also, Gobru has made up his mind to survive in this world. Doesn't matter how difficult life can be here. Meanwhile, on the 9th and 10th days, they have made equipment to beat the enemy. On the 11th day, they figure out the cave and decide to explore it, but they have no idea how challenging this cave can be. While stepping in, they confront the red eyes. Soon they realize that groups of bats want to chew them. Without having a second thought, they rush back. Gobru asks Gabmi to run away and orders Gobkichi to create a shield for him, and he uses evil eyes. Through this attack, everyone has been frozen. By doing so, he can hunt the bats with his weapon one by one. He is obliterating their breath. After that, they are enjoying their meal. This time Gobert has gained the vamp up ability. A new animal is giving him new abilities. From the distance, 3 goblins are keeping an eye on them. They are getting jealous of him because they are having mouth-watering meals, and they are dying from hunger because they don't know how to hunt. To teach them a lesson, when everyone has slept they try to beat Gobru, but they have no idea they have messed up with the wrong person. With a few moves he has compelled them to say sorry. He has knocked 6 goblins and they are watching at him by holding their breath. At the same time he uses venomous abilities, but they go wrong because he has no control over them. Gabmi, who has awoke, was pissed when she realized they wanted to kill her Gobru. In wrath, she hops in to kill them. Before she elects them, Gobru holds her and restrains her from pursuing her ulterior motives. Also, he assures her that he is perfectly fine, so she shouldn't beat them up. On the 13th day, they decided to catch Orc. First of all, Gabmi gives him a strong hint with her weapon. After that, Gobkichi tries to overpower him, but he is pushed away. When Gabmi relays, he hit Gobkichi and then she again threw stones at him. As a result, it has injured his fingers and he has fallen to the ground. Gobru takes the lead and kills him by penetrating the horns in his body. Later, they started eating. By eating the orc meat, he has learned to detect and analyze. As they are full, Gobru asks them to pack the meal. He has packed the meal for his fellows who don't know about the hunting. By watching their meal, they are about to get mad and start eating like lunatics. They are grateful to Gobru, who has given them hearty food. In his previous life, he didn't bother to think about the weak, but in his new life he has learned many things and decided to help the needy and weak goblins. While sleeping, something tormented him in his dream. It's an evolving system that wants their permission to evolve. Because he has reached 100 levels, the sleepyhead has granted him permission. Consequently, on the 14th day his personality changed. He has become hobgoblin and human-likely handsome. Not only Gobru but also Gobkichi have transformed into hobgoblin. Just then Old Man arrives and his eyes widen because 2 of them have evolved. It's the first time in his life that he looks at Goblin to evolve in a month. Aside from this, Gobkichi is excited to fight with Gobru. With a smile he has approved his request. By moving outside, they have started combat. They have remarkably good fighting skills, and Gobru is faster than his imagination. With a few moves, he has knocked down Gobkichi. Lion is always lion, it doesn't matter who he fights with. Secretly, Gabmi is keeping an eye on them, but Gobru, who has a hawk eye, knows about her presence. Also, he has realized that there is impending danger and he tells Gabmi to bring her crossbow. There is a wolf pack that is hunting the horn rabbit. Within a second they had consumed them and their next prey is orc, which is also not challenging for them. They have shattering the orc in a blink of an eye. Just then Gabru is glad because they can test their new powers on them. At the same time, Gabmi attacked one of them with her crossbow and they also step inside the fight with their weapons. With his wooden weapon, Gobkichi is beating them up and Gabru is knocking them down with his lethal weapon. In no time the wolf's dead bodies are laying on the floor, but one of them is angrily watching them as he is also wounded. He can't stand on his foot any longer and he falls apart on the ground. Just then Gobru has realized that he is the leader and he has decided to prey on him. With his sharp jaw, he has eaten him and gained the ability to order. After consuming, they took all the meat from his pack. They are again pleased to have the meat of a wolf. In exchange, he wants their favor. Also, he is humble and kind enough to teach them hunting. By hearing this, they are glad because they are not going to die from hunger. In addition, he is again doing favors to teach them to make weapons. In this life, his only purpose is to eat and he can also make friends. The story continue. On the 17th day of Gobru's life as a goblin, he wakes up finding the human females who were taken hostage inside a cave before his birth to be dead. He wakes up Gobji the grandpa goblin and informs him about this awful news. Shortly after, they burn all the women's bodies together in order to send them to the afterlife and pray for their wellness. Gobji finds it unbelievable that humans did this to themselves, but Gobru understands their reasoning, realizing that they must have done so because they had all hoped to survive in the forest. Gobru also assumes that the humans must have poisoned themselves to ensure that they passed away in their sleep. Life goes on, so Gobru moves on to, and on the 26th day, he continues training his goblin army led by the girl Gob. The goblin teenagers run at their maximum speeds to improve their physical strength and push their bodies to their limits. Gobru, who has personally taken the responsibility to ensure the goblins' improvement and evolution, spends his days training them. While doing that, he also improves his own body and hunts down many promising enemies he can find in the forest in order to add more skills to his inventory. After learning lots of new abilities, Gobru becomes confident in his own strength, so he goes back to training the goblins again when suddenly a group of hobgoblins come there. Gobru assumes that they must be enemies even though they are goblins, and brings out his sword to make them go away. However, that seems to not be the case as Gobji explains to him that those groups of hobgoblins are also of his clan and are apparently the raiders of the upper generation who went out hunting all month, which explains why Gobru hasn't seen them yet. Gobru, who realizes that one of them must be his biological father, becomes surprised and regrets his decision to raise his sword against them. The raider team makes their way there and brings back many stacks of human food and cartridges, indicating that they have raided some human villages. Because these older raiders are one generation above Gobru's generation, they naturally ignore him, not knowing who he is and talk with only their group. Gobru isn't interested in socializing, so he doesn't take it by heart too much, and so he instead takes a look at what they have raided. When he discovers that the raiders have brought many young human women as hostages or worse, slaves. One of the goblins refers to the 5 women as nice catch and gets ready to do some vile stuff to them, which will definitely trigger the goblin slayer himself to come there, but that sadly won't be happening, so whatever. Anyway, Gobru explains why the goblins have taken these women hostage. Apparently the genes of the goblins are very strong, and because of that, if they mate with other species, it still results in pure goblin children. So that is why they have taken these 5 women to force them to reproduce for days after days. However, being a human in his previous life, Gobru doesn't like how barbaric the tradition is. So he steps up to defend the women from the goblins, but knowing that going against his own clan will result in him getting eliminated. He creates a strategy and asks the raiders' chief for permission to look after the human women himself, but the raiders' chief not only disapproves of the idea, he also grabs Gobru by the collar, prompting Gobru's supporters to pick up their weapons in order to save him. As the situation gets tense, a goblin girl named Hazato, go along with a goblin mage named Hopse, comes there to help settle things down, and tells them that dragging things into a civil war is never the solution. Knowing that there is no civilized way to settle this since they are a bunch of aggressive goblins, Hopse suggests that the leaders of both generations fight against each other, and the one who wins will get to call the shots from now on, with both parties agreeing to this deal. The bare-handed duel ends in a matter of seconds, with Gobru completely destroying the upper generation's leader. Gobji calls Gobru out for fighting with weapons even though they were supposed to be bare-handed, showing that he used spider threads to capture the opponent. However, Gobru explains that it is not a weapon, revealing that his spider threads come naturally out of his hands, making him the next Spider-Man. Of course, he has attained this ability after eating a forest spider monster, but because the others don't know about his cheat skills, they just assume that he is a special case with exceptional powers. Now Gobru is the legal winner of the duel. He becomes the official leader of the village, which makes it much easier for him to command everyone to not harm the human women they have captured. He assures the women that no one will lay a hand on them, and also promises them that he will make sure they are being looked after for the short amount of time they will be spending here, revealing his intentions to send them all back to a human village soon. The red-haired woman doesn't understand why the goblins' leader would do such a generous thing for them just after taking them captive, and assuming that he has an ulterior motive, she asks him what they will have to do for the time being. Gobru doesn't actually intend to let the women freeload while they are here, as he reveals that he wants these women's help to gain human knowledge of this fantasy world. He learns that these 5 women were part of a traveling merchant group and were on their way to another city when the goblins ambushed them out of nowhere. The goblins apparently took the lives of all of the knights who were protecting the female merchants and took the only 5 survivors back home to make them their baby-making machines. Gobru feels sorry for their loss but doesn't show his emotions to them as he can't let his human behavior be seen. Nothing happens for the rest of the day, so we move on to the next day, which begins with Gobru bringing breakfast for the human women, who seem to have gotten over the incident already. As they all show themselves to be quite joyful, Gobru realizes that the women are only smiling and laughing because the positive atmosphere is making things easier for them in such an unfavorable situation. He watches them eat the food that he has cooked and then learns more about them. The girl who looks like she has ADHD is apparently an appraiser and also a blacksmith. The 2 twin blonde sisters are chefs, but also have another job of being tailors. The nerdy girl in glasses is unsurprisingly a boring alchemist. And lastly, the redhead is a rookie warrior. After getting all of their basic information, Gobru heads to the training grounds to train all of the members, including the upper generations. Unlike the current generation, the upper generation has never been through such harsh training, making them lose their spirit and their energy before the others. So Gobru teaches them a lesson for giving up so easily and continues their gruesome training. After a few days of training, the upper generations who obviously hate their new leader become tamer, which makes it easier for Gobru to control them. A few days later, a heavy rain hits their land, so Gobru and Gobkichi do some serious sparring in the cave, leaving them tired at night. So when they go to sleep, the ex-leader, who is still not happy that the arrogant brat is ruling them, decides to hurt Gobru mentally by going against his order. He and his mates head to the human woman's cave, deciding to get their way with them, but Gobru realizes their intentions using his detection skill and seriously hurts them crossing the line. After capturing all of the rogue goblins, Gobru apologizes to the human women for disrupting their sleep at night and tells them to rest again. The redhead realizes how good of a person Gobru is, which brings her tears of relief and happiness. Gobru orders Gobkichi and Gobmi to wake up everyone in their clan and gather them around, as he wants them to see what will happen if they cross the line, just like these pathetic losers. When all of them gather around accordingly, Gobru brutally beats the assaulters and leaves him hanging upside down till the next morning, where he passes away, making the others realize that their new leader is no better than some cruel guy with a funny mustache. Anyway, on the next day, Gobru encounters a tri-horn and takes it down easily with great team, collecting more abilities for himself after eating its flesh. This time he gets the quick healing skill as a reward and even the tri-burst, which allows his single strikes to result in 3 total repetitive strikes. Gobru doesn't stop there by only becoming an overpowered leader. He also becomes a Riz Lord who has rizzed up the red-headed human girl so much that she has come to his bed herself to sleep with him. But being dumb as bricks, Gobru takes sleeping together literally and doesn't do anything fun with the woman who clearly has offered herself to him. On day 33, Gobru wakes up finding not only the redhead, but also Gobmi on his bed, making him realize that maybe he can have his own harem even when he is a goblin. Anyway, the gruesome training continues and Gob, who is evolved into a hobgoblin, takes charge of things as well, becoming a potential candidate to become a member of Gobru's unofficial harem. Gobru heads deep inside the forest to look for more formidable foes when he comes across another tri-horn. This time he uses his magic skill, the Thunder Spear, for the first time and slays the tri-horn with so much power that he himself goes into disbelief, wondering whether he needs to become any stronger anymore. Becoming overconfident in his current abilities, he traverses further north into the woods and comes across a trail of blood, making him remember his grandfather's warnings about a red bear who lives on the north side of the forest. But before Gobru can return, the red bear stops him on his way, ready to take this intruder down for entering its territory. Gobru, whose instincts urge him to take the red bear down and eat it to become stronger, decides to fight it and summons the supposedly overpowered Thunder Spear to take it down. In the meantime, Gobmi back at the base begins to worry for Gobru as he hasn't returned yet, even though it's almost sunset, which she finds weird, as Gobru has never been so late. Gob goes to the others, asking them if they know where Gobru is, but when no one claims to have seen Gobru, it becomes clear to Gaben that Gobru is in danger. That might be somewhat true, as Gobru reveals struggling against the red bear. He manages to cut down the right hand of the red bear using the Thunder Spear, but it doesn't go down and fights even more fiercely against him. So Gobru utilizes all of his strength in his next attack and drives his battle axe against the red bear's neck, which fails to pierce through its thick skin, realizing how tough the bear is. Gobru tries immobilizing the bear using his spider threads, which greatly fails and also backfires as the red bear gets so enraged that it launches a deadly flamethrower attack again, setting an entire part of the northern forest ablaze. Gobru barely survives the attack and uses the time he is hiding behind the flames to heal his wounds. Unsure of what he should do now, Gobru takes the classic approach and fights the bear head-on, which ends up being another mistake as he gets tossed away with one blow, leaving him greatly injured. But with the power of friendship and anime with him, Gobru slays the red bear with style at the cost of losing his one hand. Gobru barely eats the red bear's flesh before passing out, and when he is unconscious, the system levels him up for defeating an extremely high-level monster. Waking up in his new form the next day, Gobru immediately eats the bear flesh to regain some energy and gain many more abilities, giving him the title of Mountain Lord. He decides to skin the bear to get materials when he notices that the knife in his hands looks way smaller than before, making him realize that it is actually him who has gotten larger. As Gobru discovers himself in his newly upgraded godly body, he realizes that he has become an ogre. He returns to his base, but ends up scaring everyone there who has never seen a majestic ogre like him before. Gobmi, who is the first one to realize that the majestic ogre who, to be honest, has Drax's body, if you know what I am saying, kicks him in the leg immediately for worrying her, but she ends up injuring her leg because of how strong Gobru's body has become. In any case, Gobru apologizes to everyone but keeps getting scolded by everyone who demands an explanation as to how he evolved and yet lost his one arm. When Gobru returns to the Goblin's lodge after the encounter, he has grown bigger and better than he looks formerly. He is now an ogre. He explains to everyone in the house what had happened to him, and even their head is very shocked. Gobji expresses that Gobru is just about a month old and he has defeated the Lord of the North Forest and even gotten to the position of an ogre, something a normal goblin can't do. Gobru isn't shocked that they are all shocked to see him. He even leaves them and walks to the other side of the house to change his dress. He also intends to find the humans and check up on them. On his way, he finds the blacksmith who checks the weapon he has used that day, and she is shocked that the axe has crumbled. She also tells him that she has carved a knife with the spirit soul, and he is excited as to how great they are all doing individually. He walks further and finds the humans. When they see him, they are very shocked. They couldn't have expected that he would grow that strong, so he spends some time trying to explain to them that he is the same person that they know and he won't harm them, to be honest. Their fearful expression and feelings make him so excited as they look very hilarious. He also leaves and meets another human who tells him of what she has done when he was away. He is proud of her achievement and he rubs her head happily. The pleasure at which she is touching her head makes some of the other ladies jealous, and before he looks twice, two of them are already holding his legs and trying to drag him back. He walks to check the kitchen, where he sees the twins need help with their cooking duties, so he tells them he will ask two female goblins to join them. They are so excited and they look cute. He is shocked that the twins are ready to work with goblins, and he applauds their ability to live and adapt to their environment. He rubs their heads and tells them they look like they will be good wives. They smile and he teases them. He spends the entire day teasing them and playing with them as it makes him happier. He further goes to the alchemist, who stays alone in her laboratory and mixes some chemicals. He takes one of her products and confirms it is poison. He asks her what she intends to do with it, and she reveals it is meant to be for self-protection. However, she admits that she no longer needs it because she is now known that she has a goblin like Goblin that she can trust with her life and the life of other humans. They spend time there and talk. On day 36, as usual, he finds himself training throughout the day with the other goblins. However, he figures he can't train with them again because if he hits them once, he will break their armor and injure them. Even Gobkichi cannot take his blows. They are all tired and injured, and he has to use his powers to make them recover. As he tries to heal them, he sees that Gobkichi is uncomfortable. He asks Gobkichi what is wrong, but Gobkichi insists it is nothing and he is fine, and he walks away to hunt. But Goblin knows he isn't fine. He goes outside and sees that Gabi is still digging to find the spirit iron, and he also sees Hapsato and Gabmi hunting happily. He is happy with the peace he has built in that community. On day 37, he spends his day the same way he had been spending it, and after their training in the afternoon he goes to sit with the alchemist and sews. Suddenly he hears a noise and Gabi comes inside with an injured carbuncle. She laments that she saw it when she was digging, and she thinks it has lost a lot of blood and would die very soon. Goblin quickly steps into action and tries to heal her, but the carbuncle has lost so much blood that she can't survive without blood. The alchemists provide them with blood, and after the process they leave her to sleep. When she wakes up, she is shocked to find herself there. She asks them who they are, and they tell her what had happened. She appreciates them for taking care of her and tells them her name is Returner. She reveals that she was injured by human adventurers and they want to take the crystal on her head. She is a very old wizard that has gathered several gems, and the crystal on her head is very valuable. As a result, humans are always looking for her. She begs them that she has a very short time left and that even if she dies, they should help her defeat the adventurers first. She confides in them that her gem house is filled with several valuables and her master will prefer that the goblins take all the treasure, rather than the adventurer humans. So she tells Goblin to help her kill the adventurers. However, Goblin doesn't want to kill them. He asks for the knife the blacksmith had created so he can threaten the humans. He enters the castle with Gabi through the hole she had dug. Goblin hides the others and finds the humans. He tries to ask them why they are destroying a house belonging to another without the person's permission. They wonder who he is and plan that they will kill him first before finding Returner. They attack at him, but he dodges their attacks and tries to negotiate with them. However, they start using high magic at him. He gets angry and decides to fight back, and he kills the humans. He eat their body and also get their skill. He finds some of their magic bag and accessories, so he consumes them and takes the power too, before proceeding to the jewelry house with Returner. Stating that the time has come, the carbuncle named Returner disappears into nothingness, leaving only the red gemstone for Goblin to have, which is the precious treasure of Velvet. Gabi, who isn't sure if they are worthy enough to have such a valuable treasure for themselves, but Goblin assumes that he will be fine, but the all-devouring ogre eats the precious gemstone instead of selling it, which lets him unlock the new ability called the Golden Rule. Gobkichi makes his entry there and asks Gabi if she is alright, indicating that he has developed feelings for her. As Gabi claims to be doing great, Gobkichi instantly falls in love with her sweet smile. Goblin brings his and the other goblins' attention towards him, telling each and everyone to mourn for Returner, since she gave away her life to protect the gemstone. Goblin discusses his idea to split all the treasures among themselves, and decides to use the infinite storage item box to store all of the valuable treasures inside it. When the others leave from the treasure room, Goblin stays behind as he doesn't want to leave behind the corpse of Velvet, but thankfully he doesn't eat it and instead cremates it respectfully. With the body gone, only a gauntlet is left. Goblin curiously puts the gauntlet on his arm, not thinking much about it, and he regrets his decision as the mysterious thread that pierces through his arm, causing him to feel immense pain. But Goblin remains patient and lets it do its thing, and once it's done, the gauntlet completely synthesizes with his arm, giving him back his lost lower arm. Goblin discovers that he can use his arm as a weapon, which he can freely rotate and move around. He also finds out that he can shoot strings and poisons from that arm, making him thankful to himself for staying behind back then. Now that the job is done, it is time for party to celebrate their victory. Anyway, on 38th day, Goblin claims to have some appraisal work with the blacksmith. The loot he earlier got from the human magician is apparently of the legendary grade, so that makes Goblin happy as he has much more powerful stuff in his inventory that I personally don't think he will ever need. Moving on to the next day, Gobru gives away all his magical weapons to all of the hobgoblins in his clan, and unsurprisingly takes a vermilion spear for himself, which makes him look like a cool demon lord. Gobru proudly states that he now has 3 legendary grade items which are so unbelievably powerful that even possessing one of them will let the user rule over an entire country. After flexing his new stuff, Gobru continues developing his army and trains them till afternoon. Afterward, he sets out with his gang on a hunting session to bring food for the clan and hunts down a bear for them. With the bear meat, the twin sisters cook bear soup for everyone. Gobru notices that the red-haired girl is feeding off of all of them but isn't contributing at all, so he wonders how he's going to fix her from being a total freeloader. The next day, he holds a tournament to choose the leader for hobgoblins to keep things in order and also make their day a bit more entertaining. With everyone's growth continuously rising rapidly, Gobru considers making a mercenary group which will be dedicated especially to take out unwanted enemies. But before that, he goes out on a walk into the unknown, hoping to meet stronger monsters because he himself needs to become stronger to be worthy of leading his army of mighty goblins. The first new enemy he encounters is the golden spiders, who he defeats with a single blow. The golden spider drops items after being eliminated, which looks expensive. However, instead of selling them, Mr. Hungry Forever eats the loot item and learns some more cheat skills. Then he encounters a red deer, who he also defeats with ease and its leg completely raw. After continuing to walk through the forest, Gobru reaches the mysterious purple tree, which is the home of dryads, the mythical species who guards the forests. As the dryads appear before Gobru, he remembers what Gobji said about them. Apparently, dryads like to tempt intelligent male species to use them for their nutrition, although all of the dryads are beautiful in nature but they can be deadly at times. A dryad appears before Gobru trying to tempt him with her beauty and begins to take advantage of him without his consent. But Gobru makes it clear as to who's in charge and dries out the dryad for the next 5 hours. Anyway, he continues traveling until he reaches a waterfall where he takes a break to have a nice long bath. Right at that moment, many lizard men from that area come surrounding him only to die a vain. After defeating all of the lizard men, Gobru attains many more abilities and even learns to dive. Later, Gobru returns home when he learns that 2 young goblins have been blessed with the talent to use magic. So those 2 goblins join Hopsei, who is already an expert at using magic. On day 43, Gobru notices that for some reason Gobmi is mad at him. Not only her but all the women who like him are also seems to be mad at him. So Gobru asks the chemistry girl about it, and she explains to him that the girls are only mad at him because they have somehow learned about his secret room date with dryads, but that should have been a complete secret. So Gobru assumes that someone must have spied on him when he went strolling back then. But that's not the case, as the chemistry girl explains that he is covered with kiss marks all over his neck and body. With the mystery solved, Gobru considers apologizing to everyone, but it seems he doesn't need to, as all the girls who were jealous decides to share Gobru together and happily joins his goblin harem. On the 44th day, Gobru wakes up with Gobmi and the red-haired girl sleeping by his side. He senses a group of men approaching his cave and realizes that the unwanted enemy this time is strong. He heads out of his cave to see who these intruders are and finds out that 3 arrogant-looking elves have made their way here, who intends to capture all of the goblins here to make them work for them, because humans are after the elves' sacred treasures. The elf leader basically wants Gobru and his clan to help them defeat the humans in exchange for a few months of food supplies. But Gobru doesn't want to work for any fools and makes it clear to them that he doesn't intend to help anyone out of generosity, let alone help an arrogant fool who doesn't know how to give respect to others. The elf leader, who doesn't think that goblins deserve any respect as they are a bunch of lowlives, gets offended by Gobru, but before he can make any move to show how strong he is, Gobru intimidates him using his aura and makes him fall to his knees. Now that the leader's fighting spirit is gone completely, Gobru takes him captive and orders the other elves who are hiding behind the bushes to also surrender if they wish to leave. As every single one of the elf soldiers realizes that they do not stand a chance against the Lord of the Jungle, they give up fighting him. Gobru shows a glimpse of his powers by bringing out his legendary Grade Crimson Spear and clamsing at the ground, causing the entire area to be pierced with endless spears at his command. The elves realized that they cannot negotiate or reason with Gobru, so they resort to running away instead. Gobru, who likes playing with his pests, lets them run for their lives. assuming that they won't come after him again now that they know how damn powerful he is. On the next day, Gobru hunts down gray slimes and gains many defensive skills by eating their magical cores. He also becomes able to summon mini versions of himself using his blood, which he can possess as well. As he comes to realize that he can use this ability to spy on other races, he decides to use it on his enemies when deemed necessary in the future. Not only that, he also uses his clones to make clothes for humans using fiber with precise techniques, which leaves all of the women in his harem to be happy. On day 47, he uses the blood clone to spy on the elves, who seem to be making a secret move to attack the Goblin village again. Because of their arrogance, Gobru decides to punish them and lets loud roar which mobilizes everyone. He captures all of the elves and takes them back to his cave, where he asks the leader how he gained the courage to attack him even after learning how strong Gobru was. The elf leader explains that he wanted to take revenge on a lowlife like Gobru for tarnishing his pride the other day in front of his subordinates, and that's why he came again today to punish him for his barbaric actions. The other elves claimed that they were forced by their leader to come here against their will and beg Gobru to at least show them mercy, but the Goblin leader doesn't want to give anyone free passes. So he tells them that if they can win against the Goblin fighters in his clan in a 1-versus-1 mock battle, he will let them live. After the mock battle, 17 of the elves won whereas 6 of them lost. Gobru happily ate all 6 of them and gained many new skills like archery, hidden, and surprisingly, stalking. I wonder how he is going to use this skill in the medieval age, as it is clearly from the 21st century. Anyway, Gobru awards the winner by taking away their equipment and making them his prisoners, which is definitely not what he had promised according to the deal made earlier. But being the ruthless ruler of this land, Gobru makes it clear that he can bend the rules whenever he wants. Speaking of bending things, Gobji comes there because he wants to bend the beautiful elves for his satisfaction, but Gobru doesn't allow the pervy goblin to act like a degenerate and reminds him that, as the oldest self, he has to set a good example for the youngsters. But the pervy granddaddy continues to beg Gobru to let him bend the elves, claiming that his hidden monster will make him go crazy. Not wanting his grandpa to have any resentment, Gobru allows him to do it just once. On the next day, Gobkichi reaches level 100 and ranks up so much that he becomes bigger than Gobru. Now that Gobkichi has reached the same rank as Gobru, he challenges him to a duel. Their duel deals with both exchanging blows at each other, but being the main character, Gobru comes at the top and defeats Gobkichi. Later at night, a mysterious figure appears before Gobru in his dream and gives him an unintelligible ability as a gift, which leaves Gobru very confused. The next day, Gobi takes Gobru to show him the progress of their clan mates. For hobgoblins who had an affinity for magic can now control it at will. Gobiji is the most suitable to become a cleric, whereas Hopse, who has also become a fine-looking hobgoblin after ranking up, can control fire. She shows Gobru some mysterious marks that have appeared on her body after she evolved into a half-spell lord, which causes Gobru to space out for a moment, as he recognizes the shape of the marks to be similar to his marks. Anyway, she claims to be dying to demonstrate her new magical abilities, so they head out to see if she is actually any good at being a mage. Hopse proposes to show off her powers to Gobru. She releases a huge magic that Gobru is shot, and she brags to Gobru that there is more where that came from and she can do that over and again. He asks her not to bother about doing it again, reminding her that she is one half goblin and she is doing so much more than her power. He tells her that she has evolved and he is proud of her, and he also gives her a gift for her evolution. She takes the gift and she is so excited. Hapsada walks to her and is jealous of her gift, but she encourages her that she doesn't have to feel that way, and she will also evolve very soon and get her evolution gift. On that day, Gobru looks at all the goblins under his command and he is shocked at how great they are doing it. He admits that they aren't meant to grow that fast, and he also knows the reason they are growing that fast is because his ability, and he is very proud of how far they are doing. He admits that he knows the reason they are all growing that much is him, and in the first month of a goblin, the environment they stay in will have so much influence on them. Well, except the ones that had refused to grow, that is the older goblins. The following day, as he arrives from hunting, he comes with food for them and sees the older goblins. He tells them he has a meal for them, and they tell him they are no longer interested in being in that place with them. They claim the younger ones are evolving more than them and they are still at a place. They tell him that if he doesn't want them to go, he should kill them. To their shock, he says that they can leave. They wonder if he won't ask them to stay, but he says no and even gives them a gift. He brings out a magic knife, telling them it looks blunt but it is sharp. They leave and he wishes them well. On the day 54, they go on their normal tour to the forest and they see an orc that killed a human. At that point, the human is irredeemable and as a result, he kills the orc. He gets the title Monster Tamer from the orc and he returns to the village. At the village, he meets the alchemist and she tells him she has created something for him. She gives him to taste and he sees it as booze. He has been looking forward to drinking booze since he reincarnated into that world, so he's so excited he drinks it happily. The following day, he calls all the young goblins together. He informs them that the older goblins have gone and he doesn't intend to beg anyone to stay with him. Hence, if any of the younger goblins want to go with them, they are also free to leave. He gives them an opportunity and even offers them gifts. He doesn't get any reply from them and he apologizes for having that conversation. For the next few days, they have a calm moment in the village. He decides to make an earring with his blood as a communication tool between them. On day 56, they all test the earring and they see that it is working. It makes communication easy between them. On day 57, Gabi successfully attacks a monster. Gobru is shocked as to how Gabi has grown, and he decides to test the Monster Tamer title he has gotten from the orc. Using his skill, Gobru tames the Trihorn and lets Gabi to keep it. On the next day, Gobru tames a gray bear and a pack of gray wolves to use them to protect the human girls back at his cave. On day 59, a shocking revelation leaves Gobru speechless, as the redhead reveals himself to be an experienced swordsman who can easily take on any monster 1-versus-1 fight. Being pleased by the redhead who finally contributing to the team, Gobru shares his meat with her, but not in the way you would think. Just like Gobru, the red-headed obtain new skill after eating the crimson bear's meat, which allows her to become as fast as a running deer. She even attains a new job title named Noir Soldat, which unfortunately comes with its disadvantages. Apparently, if she doesn't conceal monsters for a certain amount of time, she will lose her life as a result. That is what she will have to pay for the growth in strength and agility that she has received. Later, Gobru gets the news from Gabiji that a group of humans had attacked some of the younger goblins who were out exploring the forest. The news makes Gobru realize that humans have stepped into this forest to fight against the elves in order to steal their treasures, but he expresses his disinterest in taking part in the war between humans and elves. Thus, he remains neutral for now. The next day, using his search skills, Gobru finds out that an entire clan of kobolds is being wiped out by a mysterious undead skeleton army. Wanting to help them out, Gobru heads out with his subordinates to the kobolds' location, but as none of their attacks manage to make a scratch on the skeletons, Gobru realizes that he will have to take down the necromancer who is controlling them from behind the scenes. Gobru uses his fists smash the skeletons apart, and in less than 10 seconds take down the necromancer. He then eats the necromancer's skull because why the heck not, and gains the ability to summon undead, which of course allows him to become a necromancer. Anyway, the kobolds swear their fealty to Gobru for saving their lives, and also explain that he is becoming more influential today than before. And with that, we have come to the end of this part. Stay tuned for next part. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and activate the notification bell to receive all the latest updates.